Well, I think what we're seeing here is if there was a thinking that once and if Canada got new leadership, there would be a potential reset between the United States and Canada. And I think clearly what we're seeing is that is not happening. Donald Trump continues to double down on this idea that he believes he can make Canada a component of the United States. And I think he's going to continue to try to do so. I think why we're seeing the president now weigh in on the elections in Canada is because I think what we're seeing here is Donald Trump believes that the conservatives might be a little bit more fiery and testy than he would like. Donald Trump doesn't do well with strength. We saw that yesterday with his phone call with Vladimir Putin. And I believe that he thinks that liberals are simply weaker and it allows him to be the bully, which he's more comfortable in that role.
How are these sort of comments being interpreted in the US? Because I can imagine making Canada the 51st state is probably not the priority of most Americans. So how are, people in the US interpreting these comments?
Well, quite frankly, it has not simply risen to the level in terms of what people are thinking in terms of Donald Trump's comments. But what Americans are, in fact, looking at is how are Donald Trump's policies and how is his trade war with Canada actually impacting American consumers. And that is where I think we're seeing now Donald Trump is clearly testing the patience of many people, because what we have seen over the last week is millions of Americans losing tremendous value in their retirements, their 401ks, and also prices becoming increasingly higher. And that was why many voters actually elected Donald Trump president, to actually be able to combat high prices. And clearly that has not happened. And so I think what we're seeing right now is politically, Donald Trump is actually, as he continues to escalate a war with Canada, he's only escalating the tensions and the frustrations domestically for himself as well as his party.
So we're expecting that the new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, is expected to speak with Donald Trump. He says at the appropriate moment. We're not entirely sure when the appropriate moment will be, but we're expecting it's going to be sometime soon. What do you think is the approach that he should take with Donald Trump? He seems to be sort of taking a bit more of a conciliatory approach, saying that he understands what the president is trying to do and that he respects the president. What sort of approach do you think he needs to take in this situation?
Well, clearly, when you look at how Prime Minister Carney is talking versus the conservatives, clearly what we're seeing here is that conciliatory tone to Donald Trump actually is a signal of weakness. He believes he can roll over on Canada, which is why he wants liberals in power, not this very fire antagonistic approach that we're seeing from conservatives. And so I think right now, Donald Trump is going to continue, I think, to double down not only on the trade war, but also on the antagonism and the trolling that Canada should, in fact, be a state of America, as opposed to looking at Canada as a nation of equals. And also over the way the United States and Canada have always dealt with each other, which is actually trying to increase the integration between the two countries. And right now, what we're seeing here is Donald Trump is actually moving to try to make Canada a part of the United States, which is very different policy that we simply have not seen in the more than 150 years of the relationship between the two nations.
All right, Eric Ham, we have to leave it there, but we appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Eric.